About the con experience, it's just a bunch of geeks. Well, then again, I'm old enough.
You have to register, wait in line to register, and then wait in another one.
Hey, I have those beanies.
Just get ready, to get ready, to be ready, 'cause we're all
The doors are closing. Okay.
It's kind of crowded.
It is.
Yay.
Well, they closed the door. I guess that means we're officially started. Hi, everybody. Thank you so. 1 second. 1 second. Technical issues. So sorry. Hi. How's everyone doing? I guess before we start. Woohoo! Good. Yeah. Okay.
We're in Japan. Come on. What's going on? Yeah, that's fair.
Actually, do we have anyone in here like from Japan right now today? Hi,
welcome.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for having us. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting.
Thank you.
Recording. Okay, recording. We're live here. Yeah. Sorry about that. We're all good. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, technical issues that are probably my fault. Sorry about that. But welcome. It's crazy. Every time we do like, whether it's celebration or any other kind, every time I do like a panel or something, I'm like, no one's gonna show up, and people are here. So thank you so much. It does mean a lot, so much, you guys.
Thank you.
For coming. So yeah, how's everyone's celebration going? Good. Awesome. Yeah, day 2. How's your celebration going, Lizzie?
So far, good.
So far, good. Yeah, it's early on Saturday. So I think our panel we're talking a lot about growing up with Star Wars, which I think is something that kind of everyone does, right? If you hear, most probably grew up with Star Wars, but you all have a different way of doing it, right? Of being that person who grew up with Star Wars. And I think, for me, my growing up with Star Wars is really entrenched not just in like what's on the screen, but really deep into the costuming groups and that like community aspect of it. I think shaped me a lot. And I know you had a similar experience.
Yes.
We'll talk a lot about that. We also are going to talk about a little bit, because we have to, about some of the news that's come out of Celebration so far. Got a couple big panels at this point, a couple more left, but a couple big panels yet here today. So yeah, thank you. By the way, I'm Zoe.
I'm Lizzie.
If you haven't listened to the podcast before, we're a mess and it's fun.
Yeah, it's a good mess. It's a fun mess. So I hope you guys enjoy this, whatever this is.
So thank you so much for coming. We are also live streaming here, my little MacBook that's holding on for dear life. So thank you to anyone that's tuned in right now for that. And I guess we'll start. So I guess for me, it kind of goes back to the story. So like, for me, it's, a lot, I feel like in some ways I'm almost a little bit jealous, and then we're not. People talk about like these really strong memories of like their first time watching Star Wars and seeing it, because I don't have that. I don't remember seeing like my first Star Wars, but in a sense I am also appreciative of that, because it's like it was always there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like like you get older and you don't remember learning that the sky is blue, and you don't remember learning that how to like breathe, and I also don't remember learning that Luke Skywalker is Darth Vader's son, and it's just part of the world and part of this like fundamental
your entire
truths of
being.
life. Exactly, that I know, and I think that's kind of fun. But the first so much of like, it's not even for me, like I don't have like these first like Star Wars memories, but like my first memories, Star Wars is there and it's present. Like my earliest memories are like playing Battlefront or Lego Star Wars with my dad. And yes, I mean Battlefront, Lego Star Wars, absolutely. Or like playing with action figures and plushies. And then when I was 6 years old, so I always like to say like Cassian Andor in Rogue One. I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. My dad got a Jawa costume because he was in the 501st, he's a stormtrooper, still is. And he was like, we can get the kids into this. And so we put me in a Jawa costume, and he would drive. Me and my sister was 4, and so she kind of gets to overrule me on that one. She started at 4. But she was also in a Jawa costume, and it was great. It was fun. We do charity events like the costuming groups do. Fun way to run around, and also to meet people and be in that community. Like so many of, my like extended family and like that network of friends. Like my parents have like family friends. It comes from Star Wars. So I guess I'll get more into it later. But I've talked enough. So Lizzie's turn.
It's all because of this guy right here, my father, that I'm into Star Wars. Just brought it into the life. It's the same thing I grew up in, and so I don't entirely remember my first this or my first that. It was just always there. I do have like a picture that I hold on to. It's like Halloween with my dad, and he's Quinlan Voss and I'm Snow White. So like I haven't gotten into the costuming just yet, but then later on, around like 10 years old, so you started a little earlier than I did, but 10 years old, we started costuming with like Saber Guild and such. And then like Rebels came out, and that was it. Star Wars already was life-changing, but Rebels itself was like the epitome of like what made our family and such, and just like even meeting Zoe. So Star Wars has always been there for us, and I don't know. Honestly, my first memory would have to be the Galactic Hero toys. I'm a cook, and I love cooking. I went to school and everything, and I remember taking the Galactic Hero guys and putting them in like these little fake metal pots and pans because I didn't have like ingredients. So I just shoved the Galactic Heroes and pretended I was cooking a Padme omelet or something, you know. So yeah, that costuming, the movies, the shows, being able to, like, my little brother as well, he's Ezra, of course. He's just like having that bond because him and I are completely different people. Even today, we're so different in so many different ways. But Star Wars always brings us together. It brings the whole family together. So I don't know. I'm very appreciative of Star Wars in general, and I'm so glad I'm here. And then I met you, Zoe.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you know, we talk about, and we'll probably continue to talk about, you know, Star Wars in childhood. I think everyone has that relatability, right? Everyone knows the Star Wars childhood. We talk about that all the time. But I think even Star Wars adulthood I've not been an adult for terribly long, to be very honest. But I think it's so important as well. Like, I almost a year ago now, actually, I think it'll be a year in like 2 weeks. I moved to Los Angeles. And I'm from Pennsylvania, so like clear other side of the country, thousands of miles away. But I get to LA and I have people who pick me up from the airport and people who I can crash with. Even the roommate I live with now, I found through my dad's friend, who he knows through Star Wars. And I had, you know, I could go to events and dress in costume, and there were people who knew me, and it was because of Star Wars. Like, I moved thousands of miles away. I shouldn't have known anybody, like no family, nothing, but I had that family, and it was because of Star Wars. And I think, you know, I think Celebration is such a good reminder of that. And it's like, you know, like, I mean, there's a lot of kids here, but there's also a lot of adults here at Celebration too. And it's, you know, you forge those connections, you know, see people and you haven't seen them. I've seen so many people I haven't seen since last Celebration, since London, or, you know, just in general, I haven't seen for a long time, but it's like, oh, Star Wars friend. And you get to meet new friends at Celebration as well.
That is so crazy though, because sometimes like these people will have known me since I was 10, and I'll see them like years later, and they're like, Lizzie, oh my God, I haven't seen you so long. I'm like, hi, I like sort of remember you. I'm so sorry. And then my dad comes in and is like, you know, you met him at an event. I'm like, okay.
Well, so just yesterday I ran into someone who I hadn't seen in a couple of years, and he was someone who I trooped with when I was like 11 years old. And it's crazy, like, to do that. And I think especially, like, you know, not everyone has necessarily an extended family, whether it's because they live far away or it's because they
I don't know. I was trying to look at the chat.
Away, or just any other reason. There's countless reasons people might not have like a strong connection community. And I think it's so special that Star Wars can like provide that for you. Because it's like, it's hard to like find people and meet people and make friends. And so I think it's really, really great that, you know, I think these stories and these characters can resonate with us. And I think it also, for me, it's such a transformation on how I view Star Wars, right? Because like sometimes a character shows up and I'm excited about it because I'm not just seeing that character, right? I'm seeing my friend who cosplays that character, or my friend who loves that character. And I know that how excited they're gonna be, and that makes me excited. And I think that's like, it's not just about like transforming your life, but also like being able to engage with these stories in a whole new level, right? And I think people talk about that with the movies too. Like
Mhm.
sometimes you watch a movie, and if you're not just watching a movie, you're back to where you were when you first saw that movie.
Yeah. No, you were talking about like, oh, I see that person. Anytime I see Voss on the screen, it's my dad. That's
who
just
I was
dead.
mostly
Like,
thinking of.
yeah. Like, pretty
When I
much
watched
that's
that.
it.
But it's not just that too. Like I've friends who like with C3PO,
Yeah.
really into C3PO, and I see C3PO, I'm like, oh my god, that's Dan. Hi, Dan.
Yeah.
And I think that's really fun. And it's, and I get that too, where like, basically anything Sabine or anything Rebels, like anything happens, my phone just like blows up. And I'm like, someone haven't, like, it was like when the Ahsoka trailer and everything was like dropping. People who were like texting me was like, I haven't texted that person like 2 years, but they're like, oh my gosh, Sabine, that reminded me of you, and like sending me all this stuff. And I think that's so cool. That I get to live in, and it sounds, I don't know how to word this right, but like how I get to like, someone has that connection from me to a character.
Living rent free in their head.
In a nice way, though.
Yes.
It's in a mean way.
No. I was just thinking about like the growing up part, because again, I'm a little, not even like a few months younger than Zoe. But I haven't, honestly, I've just been so busy with work. I haven't been able to get back fully into Star Wars. Like I definitely do the podcast, and I watch it. I try to watch it all like on time and make sure, but like I so want to get back into costuming because that was such an important part of my life. And I miss costuming. I miss like all the people that I would see, or even like when we would go to, that's an awesome costume, by the way. Welcome. So yes. So like I miss these events. There were so many times where there's like kids, we would do library events, or like we did an event at like a church, and we had to like make sure that we were all like fully in costume, like mindset and everything. And there was like a Captain Hook that came up to me, and he was like, oh, like, how'd you like get that armor? Where'd you buy it from? And I was like, what do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about. I made this armor. This is my armor that I made from Beskar. What are you talking about? So I miss events like that so much, but it is funny to be still invested in Star Wars. Like if I'm like, there was a time at school, I was in the walk-in, and I was like, oh, they were talking about Andor, this was season 1, when it was going to come out. And they were like, oh, it's this date. And I was like, no, that's wrong. It's this date. And they're like, no, it's not. Like, I know what I'm talking about. And I was like, excuse me? Look it up right now. Look it up right now. So still very much in Star Wars. I will get a costume. Sabine, for sure. Epilogue Sabine. But just being an adult is strange, but it's also nice to have Star Wars as kind of like a crutch when you need it. Like even all these shows coming out, they're a nice comfort. Even Andor, even though it's like super like somewhat depressing, it's still amazing. It's still somewhat an escape from reality, So keeping Star Wars close in adulthood is nice.
Yeah, and I think it's no more obvious than here at Star Wars Celebration. Like it becomes a second language to people. Or for people, like, you can be, I'm sure people in this room, like, from all over the world, and, you're in line here at Celebration, and you are next to someone, and you have something in common with that person, right? And it becomes a second language where, like, maybe you like different parts of Star Wars, but you still are in that same orbit. Like, I remember being in line for things, like, last year at London, because I didn't get into any panels, so I was queuing up at 3:30 in the morning. And so we'd be in line for hours with people just talking. It was people from, like, we're in London. I was, from America, and people talking to people from all different parts of Europe and Asia and the Middle East and everywhere, and just like talking. And it was, very different lives, very different people, different parts of the world, but we had this common language. Like we could talk about like, oh, like, what do you think of this show? Do you like this? Like, what action figures do you have? And like that kind of thing. And it, it becomes like a really fun way to connect with people. And especially like for me, I mean, you kind of mentioned it like as a crutch. I think
it's a good crutch. I don't know.
No, I know
What's another word.
Well, and I think for me,
okay.
But I think like it is nice to sometimes like lean on it. Like I feel like I put my foot in my mouth a lot of the times. I don't always know how to talk to people and like hold a conversation. So it's really nice to be like, oh, Star Wars, cool. What do you think of Andor? And like that kind of connection, I think is really, really fun.
Yeah, I mean, and then that's kind of how we met. So that was kind of funny. I feel like we should talk about
Yeah,
that.
we can.
Okay, so
Yeah, we just celebrated 10 years of the podcast.
10 years.
Recently, which is crazy. Oh,
that's a lot. That's a lot of years.
We did a really fun special like anniversary episode with Sal and with my dad and with the two of us, obviously.
Yeah,
Go
mostly
check it out.
because the dads were the ones that like got us in.
The
got
dads
us
are the
together.
managers.
Yeah. So your dad messaged my dad because you liked Sabine and we were both costuming as Sabine.
It was before even like podcasting or anything. It was because Lizzie was the first Sabine cosplayer, for the record. For everybody.
Technically, my mom was.
Technically,
My mom was. I was Hera, and then we saw Ken and Hera, and we were like, "That's kind of weird." All right, I'm Sabine now.
Either way, same family. And so this is first Sabine, and then Rebels comes out, and I was like, because I said I started as a Jawa, and sometimes you start hitting like 5 feet tall, and you'll get the like the drunk guys at the like baseball game troops who are like, "Aren't you a little tall to be a Jawa?" It's like, "Oh, you're funny. I'm 10 years old." But so and my sister and I were both kind of looking to like, do new costume. We'd been Jawas at that point for like 7 years or something like that. It's like, let me switch it up. And so my sister went kind of the same route. She went Tusken Raider, but this show called Rebels came out, and I'm like purple Mandalorian with cool hair. So I went to Sabine. So my dad reached out to your dad, and he was, on like Facebook or something, and he was like, "Hey, I'm making a Sabine for my daughter. Can you help?" And so we kind of connected through that. And then for the record, I actually did not want to. It's because we've been doing this for 10 years. I did not want to do a podcast. My dad, I don't know if I shared this, but my dad was like, because he was listening to a lot of Star Wars podcasts, and I was, and I still do this, just would not shut about Star Wars. Anything from blah 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 blah. And my dad was like, "Oh, you should start a podcast. Like, if you're talking about it all the time anyway, might as well share it with people." And I was like, I was in 8th grade. I was like, "I don't want to do that. That's
cringe. It's weird."
He literally sat me down with like a laptop, and he was like, "Just like talk about something." And so I think I talked about like Ahsoka, just like for like 20 minutes, just like talked to a computer, not with another person.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like a couple other ones with like friends. And then my dad was like, "Oh, like you should podcast with this other Sabine in California." And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, sure." And so he messaged your dad and like hooked that up.
And then
I was given wrong information.
Hey, who's on stage right now, Father? Basically, my dad thought that Zoe was like younger than me. Maybe like, how old were we?
I think I was
10-ish.
I was 14. I was like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
You were like 12 or 13.
So my dad made it seem like she was like younger, and I was like, I can do this. Like it's a kid. Like I'm a kid, but like I'm a bigger kid. It's fine. And then I got on the podcast, and it's Zoe, and I was like, oh my god, okay. And we just talked, and then after that, like Zoe had a Camp Half-Blood shirt on, and I was like, I know that one. And so we talked about that and a bunch of stuff afterwards.
I think it was like 3 hours, and it was like on like Skype because we never did Zoom with Skype. We were like talking for 3 hours. I think my dad came in and was like, "Are you still podcasting?" We're like, "No, we did 2 hours ago. We're just talking."
So, yeah, that's how it came to be, and it's just, and we're still here.
Yeah, and then
10
we were
years.
like, "Oh, let's do another one."
Now in Japan.
Now we're in Japan, still
That's
podcasting. 10 years later, with varying degrees of regularity over the years. Sometimes not very good at scheduling.
That's the part of the adulthood. That was the rough part.
Honestly, we're better now. High school was the worst for scheduling. College was really bad.
Okay, yeah.
College we were on the same time zone for a little while, and
true,
we were still really bad at it.
Yeah. It was kitchen classes. You don't know when you're getting out of the class. I don't know. But yeah, we're here, and I'm so glad to see everyone here. It's amazing.
Yeah. This is our Star Wars Geek Girl's 5th time at Celebration. Your 2nd time.
Yeah, my 2nd time. I was in college.
Yeah, this is our first time. This is our first time podcasting together live since Celebration Orlando.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of weird because you like called into a couple.
Yeah, I did. But it's not the
we never got
same.
it to work. It's not the same.
No, not really.
I'm trying to think. I was gonna say something else, but yeah, I mean, it just I think we're talking about Star Wars, like it connects you to people, also like deepens those connections. Like I think it's something, to talk about and to bond with people. Like, sometimes we think about it as, like superficial talking about movies, but I think you can learn a lot about a person through what they like and how they engage with it and what they like about it. And I think that's, a really great way to deepen those connections.
Yeah.
And it just kind of something that kind of defines your life over these periods. Like sometimes I'll think of like what was happening in my life. I'm like, oh yeah, that's when like Solo was coming out. I was doing this.
And you don't even have to like Star Wars. You can have so many different opinions. There's so many different shows, movies, books, and everything. Like even podcasting with Zoe, like we have different opinions on all of these things.
We do.
So, some are right, some are wrong. I don't know. But
I'm always right. So
yeah, and it's also cool because Zoe, I don't read a lot of books. I read the ones that I'm like, this one I'm gonna like, and usually I do. Zoe reads all of them, so it's also cool to just have those different perspectives. Even when I'm like, did they even do this? And Zoe's like, well, yeah, they did in this issue. And I'm like, oh.
I'm nostalgia.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Still catching up on comics. Yeah, but I mean, like, just deepening those connections. I do always think of, like, because I feel like a lot of times you hear, and I'm sorry if anyone has experienced this, but, like, parents who, like, pressure their kids one way into, like, being, like, a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. I'm sure someone's, and for me, I was very fortunate to not have had that. I was 13. I was like, I want to go to film school. But I was like, okay, cool. But for me, my dad was really worried about doing that, but not with careers. He was really worried about doing that with Star Wars. We'd be like driving to like a troop when I was like 9, and he'd be like, just so you know, girls, like, it's okay if you don't like Star Wars. I won't be disappointed.
Unacceptable.
And I'm like in my like Ahsoka t-shirt, like doodling with Star Wars stuff at school, and I'm like, Dad, I like Star Wars. It's okay. He would also do, because we were Jawas, so if anyone's worn a Jawa costume, you understand the pain, or just a lot of costumes where it's like a ski mask, like covered in fur, and it's like these like really thick, like heavy robes, and so when you're, in the wintertime it's great, because all the stormtroopers and they're like spandex, and they're shivering, so then you're like all cozy in your little Jawa, but in the summer it was really brutal to be a Jawa, but my dad would like, I tell the story now, and he always says he calls it his bad parent speech, which I don't think of it that way.
Okay.
That's what he called it when I tell the story, so I'm sorry he's watching on live right now. But we'd be driving, he'd be like, all right, you have to be a Jawa. You're not allowed to talk. You have to make your Jawa noise. You can't take your mask off. They can't see you're a human. You can't show any skin. Roll those sleeves down. Put your gloves. Like you can make sure if your brown robe comes up, it has to be black and like this whole like long thing. It was very intense. And you know what? I feel like it builds character.
Yeah.
Be disciplined.
You're a professional now.
Yeah. Now I live in California with no AC, so it helps.
Yeah.
That's how I have to think of it.
My dad never really did that. I'm
watching very intently.
Yeah. I'm a pretty lazy person, so like even if it's something that I do like, if it's like even Star Wars, I'll be so lazy. I'm like, oh, I'll read it next week. Oh, I'll watch it some other time. It's not that I'm not excited. I'm just so lazy. I will just rather rot in bed. So sometimes if I'm with my dad, he's like, I'm gonna put this audiobook on. You'll like it. And I'm like, okay. And then like that's pretty much mostly audiobooks. That's how I get my knowledge of those and things like that. And he'll just, or even if he does that, I'll like, and I do like really, really like it. That's just like gives me more initiative to be like, oh yeah, okay, I really like that. Oh, there's a comic about that? Okay, I'll read that. Like I'm still trying to catch up on Afra, but like I still really like Afra and I still really like the character, and most of that is because of my dad forcing me a little bit. He'll just give me a little push. So yeah, I do need to finish all that Afra. It's like right by my desk. It's all there. It's a stack of Afra.
The comics are like, because I felt a little bit behind on the books for a while, and I read like one book a week like over the summer to be able to like catch up, and I was like, great. My goal this year is to catch up on the comics, and I'm like 7. I'm like, oh, making good progress. I'm like 6 or 7 years behind. So I was like on the plane with my little Marvel Unlimited on my iPad, like reading through, and I was like, oh man, like I've read a lot of comics, and it's still like 2019. So there's a lot, but they're good. They're good. I do enjoy some Star Wars comics.
Mm-hmm.
There's something else I was gonna say, but yeah, I mean, I think that's also the fun part too. Is there's so much Star Wars that you
There's so much.
can't run out, really. There's always gonna be something you missed.
Yeah.
There's gonna be something you missed. Like, and it's like, you have canon, and then you also have legends, and it's just so much. So it's like, there was like a little while, a couple months ago, where it was like Outlaws had just come out with their DLC, and they just released the new like High Republic audiobook, and they also released like another book. And so I was just like, and also that was when Skeleton Crew was coming out. So I would be like at work on my break, reading my comics like on my phone, and then I would like, go home and I'd read my book, and on the drive home I'd be listening to a Star Wars audiobook, and then I'd get home and I'd watch the new Skeleton Crew, and then I'd wind down for the night by playing the new Star Wars video game. And it's there's a lot of Star Wars, which I think can feel overwhelming sometimes, but I also feel like it's fun. Like I can just live Star Wars.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if Steele's watching, but it was so funny at my birthday party this year. We were all, it was like me, Steele, and Zoe when we were talking. And then Zoe was,
Everyone loves this story.
Zoe was like, oh my God, they're going to open like a Star Wars exhibit, like in a museum. I think I'm going to go. And Steele looks at me and was like, I think Zoe, the Star Wars loving girl with the Star Wars outfit, the Star Wars car, the Star Wars this and that, I think she's going to go to the museum. I think she likes Star Wars, guys.
I do have a Star Wars car.
It's a really nice car with a bunch of like you sit down, there's a seatbelt, and it's like a pork on your seatbelt. It's really nice. It's really cool.
I can't remember who it was. I got it on Etsy. I'll post it so people can look up what it was. It's really cute.
I have too many things that I like that is just like scattered all around my brain. So like Star Wars is like right there, a big chunk of it, but then it's like random video games, like random mangas or whatever. So it's always a lot more organized with liking Star Wars.
It is the main thing for sure. Excellent. All right. Well, do you have anything else to say about growing up Star Wars? We can shift into some news here.
No,
Star Wars news. Obviously,
I'm still growing. We're still growing. We're still going.
I'm sure our brains will bunny hop to another story. We'll bring that up. But I guess we can talk a little bit because we're going to record a thing about Tales of the Underworld in that trailer. And then someone decided to learn to drive instead of podcasting. We didn't get a chance to talk about it before leaving, which is fun. Are you excited for Tales of the Underworld? Yes. Okay. Excellent. Yay! I'm really excited. We got to see, if anyone went to the animation panel, you also got to see the first episode yesterday, so not you. But it was awesome. I won't spoil it or say anything, but it was really, really cool. If you read and liked Dark Disciple, you're gonna love it.
I wonder who.
Sal's, very excited. And yes, it's really good.
Which is a book I did read. Of the many that are out there, I did read Dark Disciple. That's
a really good book. And I'm excited. I'm really curious about the Cad Bane stuff because I feel like he's a character. I know you're.
Okay, good. I got outed. I was on our podcast, the Road Rebels podcast, and I like Cad Bane. It was a joke. It was a complete joke. And we were talking about Tales of the Underworld trailer, and it was like Ventress, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I love Ventress. And then it was like, next is Cad Bane. And I was like, who even likes Cad Bane that much? Like, I love Cad Bane, but I think I may have made some Cad Bane fans a little mad.
Made some enemies.
Yeah, a little bit.
I am. I mean, I do. I'm also someone that prefers Ventress over. I love Ventress. I'm really excited to see where her story goes. The episode they showed us was phenomenal. I'm excited to see where they go with that. But I think I am really intrigued by the Cad Bane stuff because I feel like he's not a character we've dived into terribly much. Like he just like shows up and like kidnaps some kids and like shoots like an old person.
Fails miserably most of the time.
And he shows up and like fights and he's like cool, but he's not like, it's not really explore like who he is and where he comes from. So I'm really curious to see that. I also think it's an opportunity to see a little Boba. Because we know how Cad Bane's story ends in Book of Boba Fett, so maybe a little young Boba could show up in there too. Tie that all in. I'm really curious. It looks beautiful. The animation's gorgeous.
I don't want to say anything because I know you guys watched the first episode, so I'm like, I
won't
want to
spoil
see
it.
this, I want to see that, and I'm waiting for you to be like, really? Okay.
One out of 6 episodes.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I'm mostly excited for Ventress, but Cad Bane, that'll just, like you said, it's just like we haven't really seen too deep on him, and I'm really curious if he's just like kind of fails miserably like his entire life, or if it's just like
He has some mess. I'm also curious about Toto.
Oh
as
yeah.
well. I don't think he was in the trailer.
No,
Toto
so maybe
360.
we'll see like
Oh my
how they
gosh.
meet or something.
Wait,
That'll
can
be
you
cool.
imagine if we get Cad Bane and Toto meeting, and then also we get Cassie and K2 meeting in Andor,
Perfect.
like within the same week?
We can see the parallels of that and how well it goes.
Yes, that's Tales of the Underworld. Yeah, really good first episode. I also think and I'd have to go back and watch the trailer, double check, watch the trailer again. But I'm pretty sure that first episode they showed us was all the Venture stuff in the trailer, pretty much.
Oh.
So now I'm like, well, what's going on in the other two?
Okay, got it.
So I'm intrigued. But what's gonna happen next? So is that? Oh, we also, I guess we'll go in order of celebration panels, but we're already out of order. But Mando and Grogu, our first Star Wars movie since 2019, comes out next May. So we're almost a year out. Yay! Yes, Mando and Grogu. I'm excited for that one. We know Zeb's gonna be in it.
Ooh.
We know Stinky's gonna be in it.
I'm so confused at that part, but I'm really excited for it.
I'm just curious. That's what I keep saying, but I am curious.
He has to be grown by now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Seems like it.
Teenager. I don't know how Hutts work.
Yeah,
so.
well, because Hutts seem to live very, very long. But he's
still a baby
He's a little
somehow.
baby in Clone Wars, but then we get, because Mando would be 30-ish years. I don't feel like
Say a teenager.
30-ish years later. So he's probably not an old Hutt, but he's probably, I don't know. I don't know how it works. It might be a different rate.
They also changed it.
They also change.
Hutts used to have a different lifestyle and biology before Disney decided
Oh.
they changed it.
Yeah, I guess they can do whatever they want. They're not beholden to. I don't know.
That's a steel topic.
I mean, well, I know, but I mean, I guess it's not. I think it's going to be basing off a reference book that came out pre-20. I'm leaning away from Mike. They basing off reference books that came out pre-Disney acquisition, but I guess they're not beholden to that. They can just kind of do whatever.
It's Disney, right?
Yeah, just do whatever they want. But yeah, I'm interested in that. I feel like we still don't know too much about what it's about necessarily.
Mhm.
We know who's in it. We know it's about Mando and Grogu, but as far as what's happening, not.
Do we know how far? How
I
many
assume
years?
it's around the same
months?
time.
Okay.
I mean, the first 3 seasons all take within the span of still 1 year. So I don't know how much they're jumping. Because then they also have Ahsoka.
So baby is baby still.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't think. Can you imagine if the
Grown.
movie starts and it's grown up Yoda? That's scary.
That's horrifying.
Puff
Seen too
baby
many
Yoda.
memes about it.
So I know Grogu, and we just got out of the Andor panel. I don't know if anyone went to Andor this morning. Yes, I was. Oh my gosh, we had to leave early to make it here to set up, so I didn't get to finish the episode. So don't tell me what happens at the end of the episode.
You can tell me. I love spoilers.
But Andor season 2 starts in 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
The time zones are messing me up a little bit.
23rd.
20, I think
23rd
23rd
here.
It's 4 days. It's the 19th. So that's really exciting. And yeah, it looks amazing. We're gonna see more of Mon Mothma. We're gonna see a wedding. I hope we also see a divorce.
I hope the wedding just doesn't go through. So that way we don't have to do divorce. But
I was talking about Mon Mothma and her
Oh,
husband.
you are so
divorcing.
correct. That is fair. That is fair.
Mon
No, that's
Mothma
right.
divorce.
That's fair. Okay.
That's what I was talking about. He sucked. Although he was, anyone read Reign of the Empire Mask of Fear? I know Sal did, no one else. One person is? Okay, great book. I'm so serious, great book if you haven't read it. But he's okay in that book. Because I'd be reading it and I was like.
That's how they start off.
I know, but I'm reading it and he's he's kind of being helpful. But I don't like him. But it was starting to sobbing on him a little bit. And I'm like, no, remember he sucks. I'm
Remember.
really excited. Cassian's arc and
My
his whole journey.
Goodness, when Diego Luna was speaking Spanish, I was like, yeah. I love that man. Also, I don't know if anyone watched Book of Life. That's all I hear is Manolo. That's all I hear. Yeah, pretty much, exactly. Waiting for him to sing on stage.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Just especially this, not something I would have necessarily wanted coming out of season 1, but the Daedra and Cyril romance they keep talking about.
What the hell?
Well, the way
They're
they
both
the
so
way
weird,
the way
right?
they talk about it is so fascinating because they're not saying like, oh, it's romantic, oh, it's dramatic. They're like, it's weird, like it's
It
strange,
is.
and they're staring at each other. I'm very intrigued.
It's not
by that.
great.
I'm fascinated.
the
It's like watching
energy.
a car crash.
Like, I'm glad that they're able to act out like the energy of how weird that is. That's very good acting. But yeah, no, I don't know about that. Bix
Bix, I'm so excited.
and her
for Bix.
trauma.
Yeah, she went through the ringer in season 1. So
Oh
I'm
my
excited
gosh.
to see her strike back at the
Mhm.
galaxy. Strike back at the Empire.
Yeah.
They're not the only ones that can strike back.
Yeah.
And so many characters and so many new characters
Mhm.
that they tease that we're gonna meet new people, and I love meeting new people. Excited for that, and and they said possibly returning faces, which is always fun
Mhm.
as well. I would love to see some Bail Organa, not just
Yeah.
because I love him, though I do.
Did we figure out which Bail Organa was hot?
Oh, the Jimmy Smith's overwhelmingly won the World Rebel poll.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
For Bail Organa?
There we know. Yeah,
Thank you for your contributions to the research.
Okay,
we had a poll
We had
of
a
which Bail Organa was the hottest.
what were the other options?
Oh,
Bail Organa live action, Jimmy Smith's.
Oh.
Bail Organa Rebels animation. Bail Organa Clone Wars.
Well, obviously it's Jimmy
everything else.
Smith's.
That's what I said.
I feel like that's not a contest.
Look, there were votes for the other ones.
Okay.
which I do want to shout out Hot Callus over there. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
we do
It's
have
great.
Alice in
It's
the
awesome.
back.
I was
It's
like,
awesome. The sideburns and everything.
yeah, it's perfect.
So good. What's I gonna say? Oh yeah, I would love to see Bail Organa, not just because I love him, but also I think we're talking about Mon Mothma and her terrible husband, and Bail Organa.
Speaking of good
but Bail
husband.
Organa is like the opposite life of her. Like Mon Mothma is alone. She has to like sneak around. Her husband sucks. Her daughter kind of, no offense, daughter kind of sucks. Like they're
That's
both,
what I've been saying.
but they're both like against her, And
Yes.
she has Vel in her family. Like that's it. Like she's very isolated in the rebellion. Where even Bail Organa, like his wife's in on it, his daughter's in on it eventually, and like they all work together in that. He has like a lot of the Alderaan resources at his disposal, more than Mon Mothma's, to like funnel her money through Take Orma and all that. And so they're living opposite lives in that sense, yet working very closely together. And if we don't see it in Andor, I'm sure we'll see it in the rest of the Reign of the Empire book trilogy.
Bail Organa's daughter is great, amazing.
Yes, she's much better than
If they both met, like her daughter and his daughter met, I feel like Leia would beat the crap out of her. Not actually,
Maybe.
but like it would be funny.
They wouldn't get along. Leia and Leda, very similar names.
Yeah.
Also, almost like it was an intentional storytelling choice. What?
Is that from a book?
What?
I don't know.
No. What
Oh, I don't know. I was like, what do you mean? What is it referencing? I see. I'm going too deep, okay? I'm going too deep. I'm thinking,
Okay.
I'm overthinking.
Okay. What else was I gonna say? You distracted me by that.
I'm sorry. Leia and
It's
Leah.
okay. Leia and Leda. Yeah, but
Leda.
I'm excited. I'm also excited to see Leda. I think she, as much as I joke about her, she is an interesting character, where she's like really clearly wants her mom's approval, but she also like does not like her mom. Like, and it's partially because Mon Mothma is very focused on rebellion and not on momming, but also because of her terrible husband who keeps like
Putting her,
instigating
against each other.
And so I'm curious to see what her character kind of goes through, because she's doing this traditional marriage, which she's says she wants. She's very like into this tradition thing, but is she gonna find out it's not for her? Is she gonna fall in deeper? what that relationship between her and Mon Mothma is going to look like.
How old is she again?
I think she said she's like 14. I think she's about Leia's age. I think she's a little bit younger than Leia.
It's like 15 age, right?
Yes, 15. I think is how old she is.
Okay, so weird.
So I'm intrigued by that as well for Andor. We also have the Ahsoka panel right after this, which might have to sprint to.
It's fine.
After we're done here. But that'll be, we have Ahsoka season 2. I think they're either just started filming or just about to start filming after this weekend.
Oh,
That
means I have to wait longer. Got it.
But excited for that continuation of the story. Obviously, we're big Rebels fans. And so getting to see more of those characters and their futures and what they're up to is really special. Even if it's in a different medium, it's special. It's really fun to see, to find Ezra. We found Ezra on my birthday. That episode came out on my birthday. I was so happy.
Which I'm just saying, even though we were a little disappointed it wasn't gonna be an animated show of finding Ezra and things like that, I feel like they did so well, hiring these people too. They just look, they sound, they just feel like these characters. So much so that what's the guy's name that plays Ezra? His Instagram is so funny to me when you only think of him as Ezra, because he's a singer or something too. So I'm like, oh my god, why is Ezra singing right now? So it's great when you look at it like that.
Yeah. I don't really know much about season 2. Maybe we'll find out with the panel tonight. Maybe not.
We'll have to
We'll
podcast.
about it. And then tomorrow we have Visions Volume 3, which I'm really looking forward to.
I won't be there, but I'll be excited when the Visions come out. Because literally the whole plane ride, I watched Visions.
Yeah, they're bringing back to the Japanese anime studios. I did season 1. It's really fun. And I'm curious to see what they're going to be, if any are going to be continuations of older stuff. It's all going to be new. I'd be very happy either way, to be honest. And I'm excited for that. I love the Vision series. It's such an interesting. I love it. Star Wars animation generally is my priority, to be honest. And so I think it's really fun to get to explore different styles of animation and different stories that aren't beholden to you have to follow this timeline, or you have to fit this character in, or you can't use this character. They can just do whatever they want. And I think that's a really fun avenue of storytelling. And also they can be canon if you want them to, for the most part.
In your brain.
For me, Tatooine Rhapsody, 100% canon. I don't care what anyone says. 100%.
Is that your favorite?
No. Oh. My favorite is The Village Bride. That's my favorite.
Yeah, a lot of people like that one, which it is really good. But I rewatched it and I was like, I really like the spy dancer.
Oh, in season 2.
Mostly because of the art. The art is just so pretty.
Gorgeous.
So I think that one's my favorite. That's season 2.
I love F. She was my COVID safe Halloween costume. She wears the mask, so that was during my costume.
Fair enough.
So it would fit with the costume.
Do you want to read the Ronin book? I was rewatching the Ronin and I was like, that would be. I should read that book.
That book's very good. And then talking about animation, I kind of missed it, but the animation panel yesterday. Saw some Tales of the Underworld. We also learned about a new animated series coming out, which is Maul's. You know this. Why are you looking like that? Maul's Shadow Lord is the new series starring Sam Witwer.
I forgot.
So we have that coming out. We have Rogue Cast's gonna be there. A lot of Mandalorian, a lot of crime stuff. Maul's gonna get an apprentice. Maybe this one will work out. So he doesn't have a good track record with apprentices.
I'm not a big Maul fan, but that sounds cool.
Yeah,
Sam Witwer is great.
Sam Witwer's in it. I'm a big Kira fan, so maybe she'll pop up. I'm really excited for that. I wish I would have released the trailer for everybody, but it looks gorgeous, and I'm really excited for that. I think that's all the news.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess we have 15 minutes left. Anyone have any questions or topics of discussion? Yeah.
So I was looking after then I saw that trailer. I was trying to figure out what the timeline was for the Maul series because, like you mentioned, it's around the time of Solo, but you couldn't have Kira show up. I'm not sure if it's going to be more Solo or closer to Rebels. So
Mhm.
I want to know your thoughts about that.
Yeah, so I don't think they explicitly like said what it was. If I had to guess from the trailer, because it was very much like pikes and stuff. If I had to guess, I think it might be like after Clone Wars, and then because it's like because they're my guess, purely speculation. I feel like they're bridging the gap between like Clone Wars Maul that still has like a grip on like the crime lords and stuff like we saw like in Clone Wars season 7. He's on this little like Zoom call with all the crime lords before the siege of Mandalore. And so he still has that grip, still has the grip on some of the Mandalorians that work for him. But then how do we get from there to crazy old man in a temple in Rebels? So I think the show, I don't know how many seasons it's going to be or what, but I feel like it's going to bridge that gap at least a little bit, is what it looked like to me. But yeah, great question. Any other questions?
Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, so we're streaming right now because we don't stream very much. So I use my dad's channel because he streams a lot more than me. Hinton Star Wars Family. We're also on any podcast platform you like. Typically, we're just audio, but basically, anybody listening to your podcast, find us there. Instagram at SWGeekGirl, Facebook StarWarsGeekGirl, Twitter and Blue Sky at SWGeekGirl, and all that stuff. But yeah, find us there. We have StarWarsGeekGirl.com where we have like writing and stuff. For some reason, like the blog isn't working. It's like I click a link and it's like, this doesn't exist. I'm like, yes, it does. I wrote it. I posted it. So I'm working on that. Got to figure that one out. That was an issue I discovered like right before leaving for Japan. So didn't have time to like totally figure that out. But yeah, check us out on all those. Check out the Rogue Rebels as well.
Yeah, literally the Rogue Rebels on everything. Yeah, for real. Look at this. Look at that.
Rogue Rebels everything. Yeah, great. Any other questions, topics? Yeah.
I was gonna say, we're gonna ask if there was any EU characters that you're hoping or think that they're gonna be bringing out in the new release this year.
Ooh.
I'm gonna be so for real. I didn't really read much EU stuff. I did like the Bane comics, and like Rain is one of like, I don't know why. I really like when I was little. I really liked her. And like we saw Bane in Clone Wars and stuff like that, but there was just like kind of a ghost and that's it. So I don't know. That would be kind of cool if they brought back some more stuff about Bane. I don't know if that's in a book already.
Not really.
Okay. So like if that was or even if they do make books about like more books about Bane and things like that, and if Rain even existed, that would be kind of cool. I don't know.
For me, I never dove as deep into EU as some people because by the time I was, 13, like really into like reading Star Wars, it was the new canon. So I kind of enjoy that more. But I read like some comics and stuff growing up. I always found Darth Talon intriguing, which she's kind of been in the conversation since that Maul trailer was shown. And so I think she's fun. I think I'm always up for more Lady Sith because as far as like true Sith, we don't really have pretty much any in canon right now. Except like Ventures, but she wasn't in the 2 and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's really fun. And then on a similar note of like female bad guys, but also maybe good guys. I think everyone talks about like Mara Jade. I think is an interesting character. I think people talk about her and they're just like, oh, Luke's wife, but she's so much more than that. And I think whether she's Luke's wife or not, I think there's definitely a place for her somewhere. And I would love to see. Plus, purple lightsabers are awesome.
Yes.
So
One more.
would love to see, or I guess pink for her. But I would love to see some of that. I think is interesting, and I think there's a path there. Like we have Thrawn in now, as well as I think engaging again with the Old Republic and the Knights of the Old Republic and those games and the stories around them. We're finishing up the High Republic project. This summer is the last book comes out. And so maybe we can go back even further. And
Keep going.
After that, and how far back can we go? It was James Mangold's film is going to be Dawn of the Jedi, which goes back way, way, way far. So, making pit stops in between James Mangold and the High Republic could be really fun. Yeah, great question. Yeah.
Yes, my question is sort of broad, but you kind of touched on it, which is at London they announced this timeline of kind of game plan for the next couple of films. We got the Ray Skywalker film, Dawn of the Jedi film, which was the Mangold film, and then the Dave Filoni film. But it seems like they're kind of changing that plan now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they said the other film is still in development, but it seems now they're kind of firmly going for the Mandalorian review and then the Starfighter film. So I'm wondering Do you think they're still planning on doing those other films they mentioned, or they kind of moving in a different direction? No.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, it's hard because I think film development can take a really, really long time. Sometimes, I mean, when Sean Levy was talking about Starfighter at the panel yesterday, he was saying like they've been working on this for years and years and years. We just didn't know about it until more recently. So I think maybe those films might, like the plan they have right now for them might look very different to when they come out. But if they say they're still working on them, they're planning on making them, I believe them.
I mean, that was even like Cassian. They announced Cassian, and then
yeah, Andor was
like
announced,
literally, yeah. Sorry,
like
Andor.
no, in like 2017, Andor was announced,
Yeah.
and we didn't see it for years later, and it's awesome.
So like whatever they give us, I'm gonna definitely be happy, and I think whatever they say they're probably gonna work on definitely will be worked on. Just probably won't see it for a while.
Yeah. And plans change. Maybe a movie turns into a show. Maybe a show turns into a movie, or maybe they just end up not going with it and then reusing those concepts in something else, and it looks different. I mean, we know like there are Fifth Brother in Rebels was Kylo Ren concept art, or like the Clone Wars season 7 was pulled from unused stuff. Rebels pulled from unused Clone Wars stuff. So it's I feel like with Star Wars, if something has legs and has potential, we'll get it somewhere, right? It took almost 10 years to find Ezra after Rebels came out. So we'll get it eventually. Will we all, how long it takes?
We'll just have another 10-year anniversary at Star Wars Geek Girl.
10-year anniversary. How long it takes, but I feel like it'll happen. I mean, even Rebels pulled from Ralph McQuarrie concept art from the 70s. So it'll show up.
It all comes together somehow.
Yeah, but I think I'm very excited. I really want to see that Rey movie with Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy and her Rey film. It's 15 years after.
I like Rey.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what that is about, how that turns out, as well as James Mangold, who was talking about. And then Dave Filoni's film, which he said, that might be a little ways away because he has to work on that after Ahsoka season 2 is done.
Yeah, they have a lot of projects to do.
They'll stuff for us in the meantime, like Mom.
Oh,
Are you guys fans of Omega?
oh
Yes.
my goodness, yes.
Absolutely.
I saw one.
We saw a couple of Omega this morning.
We were coming down the escalator. I was like,
I couldn't inform the words.
Yeah.
The joke. That's exactly what she did. She's like,
I was like, Omega.
Omega.
And then I was looking at the little Omega, and right by me passed someone dressed up as grown Omega, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Which that's a fun story potential too, is Omega as a pilot reuniting with her BFF Hera
Mhm.
from the Bad Batch. And that's the kind of thing is you never know. I mean, the Bad Batch followed up on the Zillow Beast and all these random plot threads from the Clone Wars. We got Tales of the Empire, followed up on Barriss. So it's you never know. And I think that's the fun of Star Wars and having all these different creatives is that just for us as fans, where everyone has their own thing that sings to them. It's the same thing for these creatives that come into this space, and so you might have, 10 years ago, someone wrote a story and left it a little bit open-ended, and then no one really went back to it. But then you have someone who watched that, growing up, or watched that, a long time ago, and they come into Star Wars as a creative, and they're like, that story, I want to do that one. I want to pick up where that left off. I want to know what happens next.
Mhm.
And I think that's really fun that you have that, and that's why I think as much as sometimes people like things to be very, very consistent, I think the fun in Star Wars is that you can have you can have Andor, and then you can have Solo, and then you can have The Force Awakens and Rebels and Resistance and all these different shows and movies that feel so different because there's something for everyone, and just like there's something by everyone,
Mhm.
which I think makes Star Wars so special.
Couldn't have said it any better.
Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Yes, any questions?
We talked about characters that you guys connect to. Obviously, Sabine is a big one, but it's been a decade, and that character has changed, and so have you guys. You guys were little kids looking at the cool girl who painted stuff on walls. Do you still feel connected? Do those characters grow apart with you? And are there any other characters that you feel that connect to you at this age?
Yeah, I mean, I think for Sabine, definitely for me, I feel I grew with her. I also think she informed a lot of me and like my kind of aesthetic. So really like, because you're like 13, you're like, I don't know what I like or what, you know what I mean? And so like, but Sabine, I was like, oh, like I'm gonna try dyeing my hair. And now, even though I'm not allowed to have dyed hair at work, I have to cut this off when I get back to California.
The commitment though.
But like, and I like that. Like my apartment, I rent now, so I can't have fun. But my bedroom in my house is painted with Sabine art and like Sabine inspired art, like all over the walls. I like paint all the walls and stuff. And it informed a lot of who I am. As far as who I connected to, I think we're talking about Omega. Omega was a huge one for me. It's very personal. But for me, I watched every episode of The Bad Batch with my dad. We would wake up 5 because that show came out at 3 a.m. Eastern time. So I was in Pennsylvania. And so we'd wake up at like 4 or 5 a.m. because my dad is a teacher, so he had to leave for work at like 6:30. And so we'd like be up at 5 a.m. and we'd watch the show together every single morning. There was a couple shows where most shows I watched with him, but like The Mandalorian, I was at college for parts of it, but Boba Fett I was at college, Andor was at college. But The Bad Batch was the one show because it tended to air in the summer, so I wasn't in school to watch every episode with him. And then the show ended season 3, but like halfway through season 3, I got a job in California and I had to move in like 2 weeks. And so the second to last episode of The Bad Batch I watched with him, literally the morning we woke up, watched the show, and went to the airport. I'm gonna cry, I'm so sorry. But I flew. Go.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I flew to LA and I landed and I moved and all that stuff. And then the finale came out. I couldn't watch with him.
Star Wars Geek Girl is always crying. Always.
It's
on
on you
brand.
guys, but then the finale is Omega growing up and moving away. It's embarrassing. Here you go.
It's not embarrassing. I understand.
Your turn.
Honestly, I feel like I'm still with Sabine. I haven't really found a character that I could relate to too hard that wasn't Cat, which is so horrible. So horrible, right? Okay. So Cat, oh my God, Rise of the Red Blade. It's great. Mostly because in high school, middle school, high school, my entire life, but mostly middle school, high school, I was struggling a lot, just like with mental health and such. And so Sabine was great because Sabine was usually the most positive and she was so colorful and she was so amazing. And so it was someone I could relate to like during my happy days. But then, growing up and it just like reading this book and just how much she just feels like everyone's against her. And that's just kind of how I grew up. It was just, I always thought someone was against me. But the whole thing of Rise of the Red Blade is like, they weren't against her. They wanted to help her. They genuinely wanted to help her. So honestly, I feel like now it's Cat.
Oh, so sweet. So give me tissues for the live stream. That's so kind of you.
So it's just like, I feel like right now it's Cat, which I'm hoping that it won't always be her because she went through a lot and I definitely didn't go through all of that because she's going through a war. I didn't go through that, but I just, I feel like it's Cat. I don't know if anyone I only read a little like scrum of like a little crumb. a little
scrum.
I was gonna say scrumdiddlyumptious, and then that wasn't the right word either. A little crumb of books that I read, like Rise of the Red Blade is really, really good. I mean, especially because like literally the beginning, I'm so sorry, this is like a little triggering, but like the beginning of the book is literally the author being like, if you are feeling suicidal, please reach out for help because there's always going to be someone there for you. Family, friends, literally whoever. So like that book was just amazing. And it's one of those, one of the books that I've read and I feel like everyone should read.
I feel like I wasn't audible at the end of that story there, but the story was I watched Bad Batch finale and it was Omega growing up and leaving, and that was hit home. Because I watched it with you guys and the show ended, and I think you were like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Great, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick."
Yeah. But
That's it's got some great characters.
thanks, Dad. That's a great question. You
Yeah.
see what you did?
Got him.
That's what he did on purpose. Rise Red does a really great book. We did a podcast about it.
We did
Normally-
because it was like one of the books that I read. And
Normally, yeah, when I want a podcast about a book, I have to ask Sal. And because I'm like, Lily didn't read this, so I have to. I
This one
can't
did.
podcast with the co-host, but sometimes we do, and that was a fun podcast as well. Yeah. All right, we're out of time. They're gonna kick us out. Thank you so much for coming. This is
thank
so
you
special.
so much.
And thank everybody who tuned in here on the live stream. Hello. Oh, I wasn't-
Everyone had fun.
I've still been looking at the chat. I'm so sorry. I wasn't at all. But thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the con. If you want, I have Star Wars Geek Girl temporary tattoos. If you want one. I know you guys got your cards and stuff in the front. If you want a temporary tattoo, Axel put one on his neck. So you can put it anywhere you want. And I got 200 because they were half off. So
Would you like some?
yeah, take a handful.
Take a bunch.
Take a bunch. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Temporary tattoo.
Yes,
course.
Right on
I
my
don't know.
neck.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the tissues.
You are. Thank you for coming.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the chat really quick for you guys. Oh, I'm gonna do that. Hi, Cobalt. Oh my gosh, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much for coming.
Ken,
The other
Ken,
one sold out.
Anthony.
Oh,
Oh
awesome.
my gosh. Hi, Jonah.
Here you are. Thank you so much.
The red blade is also one of my favorites.
It's so,
It's so
I did a
good.
5
amazing.
discount, so.
Yeah, it's rough out here, but there's always someone there for
I have this
us.
from my dad's show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't start Geek Girl, but we have these. It's my dad's book.
She would like to know more about, she is thinking about costume.
Oh, okay.
She's not sure if she's really into it.
Yeah.
And so she wants to know a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it's fun because I think, especially if you have clearly your dad wants to help you, right? So it's helpful. I think doing something
Oh,
like
good.
that.
Good, good.
I think you guys,
this
because
must
you want to
be
make
my
sure it's
girl's
just
smart.
perfect. But for the first one, just make it how you like it, Like, you don't have to be spot on. If you were like, I think I want the Mandalorian to have this color.
Is those regular ones? No, it
You
was
have
also
it's
the
your costume, you have total control over it. Any specific questions?
Yes.
Princess Leia. Oh, you'd be a great Leia. You know which outfit you would want for Leia? No, just whatever one. Hey, how's it going? There's a lot of really cool things, and sometimes it helps where making it sometimes it helps if you instead of having to sew it or make it from scratch, if you go shop.
Star Wars Geek Girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.
That's my last argument.
Yes,
So you
that's
guys
neat.
that
That's what it's, yeah.
Again?
Representing.
Thank you.
What was,
She probably has
a
more
rough
videos.
show?
I did bring one, only one of these.
Sorry, the next class wants to get ready, so.
Yes, so sorry.
Yeah, I was like, I'll find by it, don't worry.
I only have one of these on me, but I should have a challenge one from Delaware in the US.
Do I need to put something over here, though?
I'm gonna train the